Hello everyone, let's take a look at the second Battleground in this third wave of Forbidden Battlegrounds. This one requires a Protagonist and an Origins clear. Now those of you who have been around on this channel a bit probably know that one of my primary factions is Protagonist, so needless to say, even if I limit myself to SR characters, I'm going to very easily clear this map. Although in this case I of course cannot limit myself to SR characters, because there are only 4 freebie Protagonist characters and one of them is Parn, who most people don't have, so I try not to use them if I don't have to. But in this case, like I said, there's really not a lot of Protagonist SRs to choose from, so Parn comes in. So since I have to bring 5 units, I choose one SSR, and in this case I choose Layden. Landius would have worked just as well, but I don't think it's an unreasonable choice in this case because I'm pretty sure most people have at least one of them trained, and both of them work quite well on this map. As for Parn, I do think most people have Elwyn trained, so Elwyn would probably replace him pretty easily here. And if you don't have Elwyn, you can replace him still with someone like Ares. And of course I'm sure most people have Tiaris or Liana trained, so you don't have to go with Almeida as your healer either. But whatever the case, Protagonist has always been one of the strongest PvE factions, with Matthew himself still being a very good PvE character, having a combination of a pretty strong faction buff alongside attack command to help ensure the kills on all these enemies. So you can probably see immediately that there's just not a whole lot for me to say here. The group in the bottom left of the map don't aggro at the start, so I can just spend the time killing one group at a time on the right, and like I said, Protagonist being as strong as it is makes this a pretty trivial task. The only real annoyance here is that the Gargoyle gives out 2 heal blocks every turn, which is why, as you saw, I couldn't heal Parn back up to take out the Orc, but that's not really a big concern because even with Chris being as frail as she is, Last Rites can protect her from dying, especially since the Orc is already injured. So you can see I've easily taken out most of the enemies here, and it only leaves the final group, which is the bottom left group, and now they're charging at me. So believe it or not, the catapult is probably one of the biggest threats on this map, especially if you go for a very traditional strategy and have a tank and everything, because this guy dispels 3 buffs every single time he attacks, which is just really annoying because it just ends up making your tank very frail, and he can attack from like 6 spaces away, so it's pretty hard to avoid him. My Layden actually nearly gets killed because of this. Not that it would matter that much at this point, since I could kill the rest of them pretty easily with just 4 units. But yeah, as you can see, very easy, straightforward fight when using the Protagonist units. And it's not like I'm even using the good Protagonists. Like I said, if you brought someone like Liana, Tiaris, and Elwyn, Ares, just makes this fight even more trivial than it already is, so I don't think there's a whole lot for me to say here. I think the Oranges clear is going to be a little bit more interesting, so maybe stay tuned for that. Alright, now let's try this Origins clear. Now I know I say I try to avoid using Parn if I can, and there are a number of SR characters to choose from for Origins faction, but the problem for me is that most of them I don't have trained, as in I don't have them classed up, let alone bonded and hard bonded, so I end up using Parn here regardless. If it's any consolation, I am going to be using an R character instead, which is Jessica. Although Jessica is easily one of the best R characters in this game. I'm also going to be using SP Freya. I tried clearing this map, which is plain old Freya Classic, but I was having a lot of trouble keeping her alive, so I decided to bring in SP Freya to help make the tanking a little bit easier here. Now for those of you who are allowing yourself the use of SSR characters, it won't be too hard to keep your tank alive just by bringing Tiaras, although do be aware of the succubus in the top right corner, since she has Reaper Touch, and obviously you don't want that on either Juggler or Tiaras, unless you have one of them equipped with Heart of Gaia. Now my Origins characters are definitely way weaker than my protagonist characters, so you can see that I'm not only going a lot slower this time, but I'm also playing more carefully. I beat the Tentacle from the Squid using Jessica because I know I can just use her to teleport out of the way. Meanwhile, the two DPS that I brought, which is Parn and Kirikaze, have a little bit more trouble taking out each individual enemy compared to my protagonist team. I was actually having almost no luck killing the orcs adequately when I was first trying out this team comp, until I decided to switch Kirikaze soldiers over to Scorpio. This map has a number of infantry units, so bringing cavalry is definitely useful, and it's not like there's any Lancer enemies either, so there's really no downside to doing so. Well, there is a downside, and that is just that I don't have Scorpions trained, so they're only level 5. But it's worth Kirikaze doing a bit less damage to the other targets if it means I can take out the orcs quicker, because the orcs really are one of the biggest concerns. They have a pretty easy time taking out Freya, especially if I put Phalanx out front. Some of you might be wondering why I'm not using Redeemers on Freya, and that's because pretty much every threat on this map is physical damage, so that being the case, there's really no reason to bring Redeemers over Phalanx, especially when there's so many debuffs on this map, so it's not like it would be easy to maintain the revive condition for them. So as you saw, I took my time taking out the first two enemies on the top right corner, and I made sure to try to stay out of range of the Gargoyle and the other orc. Freya isn't going to be able to take multiple hits in a row, especially if one of them is in infantry. Once they approach me, I just stockpiled them with everything I got. Even Jessica gets to contribute quite a bit by using Windblade on a Gargoyle for effective damage. But after this group's taken out, everything else kind of falls into place, very similar to the fight with Protagonists. This final group is actually still pretty threatening, the problem being that I simply cannot kill them fast enough, and they do have a healer on their side, and in a straight fight of attrition I wouldn't be able to survive. So you're going to see me spend a couple turns just backing off, and letting my cooldowns come back up, and just making sure I can find the right opportunity to engage them. And you can see that even with all this setup I'm trying to do, I'm still going to end up losing Freya, because these guys just hit so hard. Like I said, most of you are probably going to bring Tiaras into this fight, and she's going to make things very easy for you. So just take this for what it is, and SR clear just to show that it's possible. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video. Thanks for watching.
どうかしましたか。はい。どうかしましたか。
はっ。始めようぜ。
気づかないうちに。ごめんなさいね。
決めたか。一緒にピンチを切り抜けるんだ。始めようぜ。
いいですね。はい、まあ。
はっ。始めようぜ。
どうかしましたか。
始めようぜ。
どうかしましたか。すみません。あれ、気づかないうちに。ごめんなさいね。
任せるでござる。始めようぜ。
はい。
始めようぜ。任せるでござる。
はい。
決めたか。
はい。あれ、気づかないうちに。ごめんなさいね。
決めたか。一緒にピンチを切り抜けるんだ。決めたか。
いいですね。かわいそうな人。
任せるで。決めたか。
はい、いいですね。
始めようぜ。
これはあまり使いたくないですよね。
任せるでござる。